What's up everyone, it's Andrew here from Offshore Audio, helping you to mix better live events. I get a lot of questions about Stageboxes. I've made a few videos in the past about Stageboxes, but I still get a few recurring questions. So today we're going to talk about what a Stagebox is actually for. In this video we'll cover what a Stagebox is, why we use them, a couple of different sort of configurations that you might use Stageboxes in, and I'll share some real world examples from places that I've worked. So without further ado, let's dive in. What is a Stagebox? In short, it's an effective way of moving a group of signals from one place to another. They come in loads of different sizes and shapes, and they have loads of different names as well. You might hear multicore, multi, snake, loom, Stagebox. If you want to get really pedantic, you might be able to argue some small differences between these, but they all do the same job. They group signals together and they send them from point A to point B. Most commonly, you'll see that used moving all the signals to and from the front of house mix position and the stage, because there's usually a bit of distance between the mix position and the actual stage. Now, of course, there's analog Stageboxes and digital Stageboxes. And the simplest way to sum up the difference between these guys is analog Stageboxes are just a whole bunch of wires, basically 12 microphone cables, all the wires for those enclosed in one big cable with lots of inputs and outputs at the other side. The digital ones have a converter inside them, and they usually interface directly with the digital mixer. They don't break out into microphone cables. I'll leave a link to a video so that you can go and learn more about that if you're not up to speed on analog and digital Stageboxes. But why do we use them? The main reason is convenience, is to save time and keep things tidy. Because if you have to take 20 cables from a stage 10 meters through a venue to the mixing console, you're going to end up with a big mess. It's going to take you ages, and basically you're just going to end up hating your job. It'll be a pain. Another reason we might use them is to subdivide areas of a stage, Instead of having all of your drum microphones, say 10 microphones, running across the stage, we just have one big multi-cable, one Stagebox cable, and then we connect a bunch of smaller cables to that drum kit, keeping everything nice and neat, no trip hazards. Similarly, you might have a little box at the front of the stage so that you can run the vocal mics into that. They also really help with troubleshooting. They come numbered. So it says 1 on one end and it says 1 on the other end, and you know that that's the beginning and end of one cable. If you connect up 20 microphone cables on a stage, they all get tangled up, and then you find out that one of the channels is not in the correct place. You need to go and you need to follow that whole microphone cable all the way as it winds through the mess to the Stagebox and say, okay, this is in the wrong channel. But after all that chaos, are you sure you even have the right microphone cable anymore? With the Stagebox, you follow it maybe 3 meters, what's that, like 10 feet? And then you're like, oh, hey, it's plugged into 1. You go to the Stagebox and you go, oh, look, 1 is not plugged into the correct input. Problem solved. So there's a few different configurations of Stageboxes, right? You get Stageboxes that are input only. They only have inputs for microphones that you can connect microphones to. And then they transport those microphones to the mixer. But then you also find Stageboxes with return channels. They have a few channels where the sockets are reversed. So instead of being a male socket, it's a female socket and so on. And that means that you can return signals to the stage. Now, which one do you need? Pretty much if you're going to be using it as your main Stagebox to transport all of the signals to and from the stage, you want to have some returns because you need to connect up your PA, right? Your mixer is probably several meters away from the speakers, and the speakers are probably beside the stage. So that lets you keep the cable runs short, going to those speakers or to the amplifiers that power those speakers. You probably also have monitor wedges or in-ear monitors or something located on the stage. Another reason to have plenty of returns. All the digital Stageboxes that I've seen have inputs and returns. I don't know if they even make digital Stageboxes without returns, but if you've ever come across that, let me know. Leave me a comment down below. I'd love to hear about that. So let's talk a little bit about patching really quickly. Patching is a term that we use for connecting microphones up to the Stagebox and getting them into the mixer. So with an analog Stagebox, you would usually have a 1-to-1 patch. That is, input 1 on the stage side of the Stagebox goes into input 1 on the mixer, because that's logical. It makes sense. Someone might say to you, can you patch the snare drum into channel 2? And that just means getting a microphone cable from your snare drum mic into channel 2 on the mixer. Now, if you had another smaller stage box hanging out near the drum kit and you connected the microphones up to that, that would then mean taking the microphone cable from the microphone and going into number 2 on that stage box near the drum kit, and then taking the other end of that stage box, finding the output of that says number 2, and connecting that into number 2 on your main stage box that goes to the mixer. Now, in the digital world, it's quite common to patch 1-to-1 as well, but you have this option to change where things are routed once they reach the mixer. We call this soft patching, whereas plugging it directly into channel 1, 2, 3, 4, that's a hard patch. Plugging it into channel 4, but then routing it onto channel 17 on the mixer, that's soft patching. So when might you use this, I hear you ask? If you've got a touring engineer in and you have a really busy stage and it's difficult to get to your stage box, and you find out that your kick drum is actually in channel 2 when it should have been in channel 1, it might be easier to just soft patch inside the mixer and change which channel that signal is routed to. That way your touring engineer gets all of their channels laid out as they would like it, but you don't need to go fight through the keyboard player and his rack of effects to get to the stage box. An alternative to this is, when would you hard patch? If you have a festival situation, a sort of venue festival where you have multiple bands playing and they're all quite different, you might run out of inputs on your stage box if you only have, say, 24. If the whole band is mic'd up and the next band comes in and it's all synthesizers and keyboards and samplers, you might have to then connect out some of the guitar amplifiers or bass amplifiers that you previously had connected, and then connect your newly acquired synthesizers into their inputs. And that's called hot patching or hard patching. And it's pretty dangerous. You need to keep really good notes, but sometimes it's a necessity. So what is it specifically that we send through these stage boxes? The answer really is microphone signals and mixes. Because on the stage end, you connect up your microphones to the stage box and send them to the mixer, or you're connecting things into DI boxes, which then converts them into a microphone signal and sends it through the stage box to the mixer. I'll leave a link to the DI box video if you need to know more about that. And on the flip side, you're returning mixes, whether that is your main mix that comes in your master fader that you are then delivering to the speakers, the main PA, or it's monitor mixes, the wedges or the in-ear monitors that the artists are using on stage, primarily using the return channels on your mixer to send back mixes, combinations. But let's look now at some examples of different stage box configurations and how you might use them. This is based on an actual stage that I worked on a number of years ago, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, and it was totally analog. We had analog stage boxes on everything. But it's still a really practical way to look at how to lay out your stage boxes. We had this 24 input, 8 output stage box mounted on the wall over here, and that was routed 1-to-1 into the mixer at the back of the room, maybe about 10 meters away. And the outputs of this stage box were routed to main, left and right subs, and then we also had 4 outputs that went to stage monitors. Now this was really practical because if we needed to move the stage monitors about at all, and we wanted to change how they were laid out on the mixer, we just needed to whip an XLR cable out on the stage box and patch it into another one. That was the hot patching that I'm talking about. It just meant that we could make things make sense quicker. If someone brought in-ear monitoring units, we could just unplug our monitors up here and then connect their in-ear monitors there. Really, really practical, really easy. So, of course, we have these breakout boxes, like I was talking about before. We had 2 and we color-coded them. We had the blue and we had the yellow box. And it just meant that by having this blue box up the back here, we could connect all the drums, the bass and any guitar that was over on stage left. We could just connect them straight into this box. And then this stage box ran actually along the back wall and then came out in a sort of breakout cable here. And that meant that we could connect the channels from the stage box to whatever inputs we wanted on the mixer. So drum kits use quite a lot of microphones, 7, 8, 9, 10, and it's really practical to just not have to drag these all across the stage. Similarly, these vocal microphones down here, it's pretty common to have 3 or 4 vocals across the front, or to have a vocalist with an acoustic guitar and a DI. And this just really let us forget about dragging cables all the way across the stage. We kept it nice and clear. So this area here is performance area, nice and clear, nice and safe. And of course, if we had stuff over here, like this guitar, or if there were keyboards, we'd just patch it direct into the stage box. Now, the obvious logical step up from this would be to turn this guy over here, this analog stage box, into a digital stage box. Then we could forget about this big analog cable that ran along the roof here, and we'd have a nice slim one on a Cat6 cable. Let me show you another setup with digital stage boxes that's a little more interesting. This is our second stage, and this is based on a stage that I work on just now. Same vibe, right? In that we have these breakout boxes, but you'll notice that we have two main stage boxes. These are digital stage boxes, and they're connected with this link cable. It's like a Cat6 cable that links them. And then this stage box on the left is connected with a Cat6 cable to the mixer. And what that means is that we can send the outputs to the speakers on both of these because they're linked, but we still only have this one Cat cable that actually runs under the stage. It's really neat. So we have, stage right speaker, front of house left, comes out of this stage box. Stage left speaker, front of house right, comes out of this stage box. And then if we need to connect any monitors, we can also just whip them out of whatever stage box is close by. And then I was talking about soft patching. If we need to change how they look on the mixer, we can just soft patch which outputs are connected to which auxiliaries and keep it nice and straightforward on the mixer. Similarly, we still have this possibility to connect all of our center stage items or upstage items into this. And this runs along the back of the stage again and just keeps it really neat, keeps this performance area really clean for people that are moving around. Similarly, we can do the same with our vocals, but maybe to this stage box because it's closer. And if we happen to have any keyboards around here, DIs, anything like that, we can still connect them directly into these stage boxes. Let's sum this up then. What is a stage box? Really convenient way of moving large numbers of signals from one place to another. A lot of the time from stage to front of house mix position, or from the middle of the stage to another bit of the stage. Why do we use them? Keeps things nice and tidy. Makes our job easier, quicker, makes problem solving easier. What kind of types do you find? Just inputs and outputs, analog and digital. And they can be laid out in different configurations to cover every bit of the stage and connect that all back to the mixer and return those mixes as easily as possible. I hope you found that one helpful. Please let me know if you're having any Stagebox troubles or anything that I can help you out with. I'd love to hear from you. Leave a comment down below. I'll leave some links to freebies that I've got down below in the description, so please check those out. But until next time, thanks for watching. Goodbye.